So as you can see, they reconstructed Castle Trotsky, which I think is absolutely amazing. In the current day, what you see is, I think, the ruins of one of the towers. I don't know if it's like left or right of these cliffs. I think the left one. Sorry, right one. It's the Maiden, I reckon. Hello, my name is Whisper, and today I'm going to review the beautiful game Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. After spending over 120 hours in it, and still counting, I've decided to go over a couple of key topics and showcase why I think the game is great. Let's start with the basics. What is Kingdom Come Deliverance? Kingdom Come Deliverance is a Czech game developed by a Czech studio set in medieval Bohemia, modern-day Czechia, or Czech Republic. The story picks up where the first game left off, following the events of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1. Naturally, the question arises, is the sequel better, faster and stronger than the first game? Let's find out. In my opinion, the game has improved, in terms of size, quality and various other aspects. Many elements from the first game have been expanded upon. One of the game's strongest points, though, is historical accuracy. Featuring various real-life historical figures, there are mentions of Jan Hus, Jan Žižka, King Sigismund, and other great places and personas, some of whom you even meet in person. Well, in the game, of course. First things first though, the combat. As with any role-playing game, you're probably curious, what about the combat? Let's take a look. The combat system isn't necessarily the highlight of the game, at least for me. It's not overly difficult, but it's not particularly easy either. One of the biggest issues I have with it is the autolock system. Basically, whenever you enter the combat, the autolock forces you to focus on a single enemy, limiting your ability to control your surroundings. While in combat, you use directional queue system for blocking and attacking, an autolock feature can make it difficult to properly maneuver in a fight, especially against multiple opponents. The combat mechanics allow for a variety of moves, parries, perfect blocks, perfect dodges, ripostes and Master Strike. I'll discuss Master Strike a little bit later though. Additionally, new weapons have been introduced, including halberds and crossbows, alongside the sword, axes, maces and bows that we had in previous game. Polearms, which were present in the first game, are now fully integrated as a regular weapon with their own techniques. A notable addition is also a firearm. Guns are extremely powerful but cumbersome to use, requiring long reload time, far longer than crossbows. However, when they hit something, they are devastating, even against heavily armored enemies. Despite having a variety of weapons, combat still has its flaws. It can sometimes feel janky and frustrating. Even an unarmored, unskilled opponent, for example the village idiot, can sometimes execute perfect blocks and counter with unrealistic precision and professional fencing-like footwork.
I've been waiting for you.
Fighting multiple enemies can also be tricky due to the autolock system, which prevents you from freely switching between targets, and it also prevents you from controlling your environment and basically keeping enemies in check. While the game aims for realism, it sometimes falls into an awkward middle ground, too realistic for action-oriented players, yet not realistic enough for true historical accuracy. For more in-depth breakdown of combat, I've made a dedicated video on my channel, so check it out if this is something that you are interested in, but mostly it is just my critique of what combat lacks rather than what it is. Now, the Master Strike. I am in love-hate relationship with Master Strike. It is a powerful counterattack that can only be performed with a sword, either a short sword or a long sword. It allows you to intercept enemy attack with your own, block it effortlessly, and retaliate in one fluid motion. It is incredibly strong mechanic, perhaps too strong. With just 2 or 3 Master Strikes, even the toughest enemies can be brought down with ease, which makes it kinda overpowered move. There is one thing I do love about the combat in the game though, and that is the animation, which are gorgeous. The combat movements are beautifully choreographed, making each encounter visually impressive, whether viewed in the first person or if you're just watching third person, the other enemies and allies duke it out. Now, the game shows that professional historical fencers were hired to choreograph those fights and basically implement the basics, but this has been a thing in the first game as well, so it is hardly surprising in this one. Now, it wouldn't be a role-playing game without some elements of progression. So, what does it mean, the character progression in this game? You play as Henry, a blacksmith's son, and in this game, unlike the first one, you can actually level up your blacksmithing skills. In fact, you can level up various skills, including alchemy, horsemanship, hunting, stealth, survival, and even drinking. Yeah, the more you drink, the more resistant you become to alcohol's negative effects and improve the positive effects, whatever that means. In the game, it means basically buffs. Yeah, you get buffs. In the game, you are increasing various skills, and as you use them, you get more experience, and each 2 levels will grant you a perk point. There are 2 types of perks. Generally, the ones that you can choose all the time, and then there are a couple of ones that are mutually exclusive. For example, in horsemanship, you must choose between Roadrunner, which boosts speeds on the road, or Wild Rider, which boosts speed off-road. However, aside from these exclusive branching choices, you can level up all your skills to max level, which is level 30, and basically unlock all available perks. If you want to play as an overpowered Henry, that's entirely possible, just grind it out. While most skills are fun to level, there are some, for me it was for example alchemy and I already mentioned drinking, that can feel like a tedious grind. That said, no skill is required to complete the game, they simply impact the success rate of certain actions. Which bring me directly into dialogue and reputation. The dialogue is what usually uses the skills in terms of success and unsuccess the most. Conversations play a crucial role in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, or KCD2. Your ability to persuade, intimidate or lie depends on your character's stats as well as your appearance. So for example, intimidation is more effective if you look strong and imposing, but also bloody and trucked, while persuasion is influenced by cleanliness and a noble attire. Different dialogue choices use different stats. Speech is for lying, intimidation for threats, craftsmanship for technical skills, and even survival for treating the wounded. Successful dialogue choices improve your reputation, while failed attempts or intimidation, which basically always makes you lose your reputation, can lower it. While your intimidation lowers your reputation even if it's successful, well, obviously you are bullying your way into victory in conversation, so that's hardly charismatic, is it? The world is vast and immersive. It is the highlight of the game, or at least one of the highlights. While the map in Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 felt a little bit larger than the second game, but the second game has actually 2 maps that you can fully explore and freely travel between regions. The game is really huge, and it also feels huge. It doesn't feel like empty or bloated. There is always some carefully crafted things wherever you head, basically. The game runs on CryEngine, an engine originally created for Far Cry games, and it excels in portraying exteriors. As you can see on the footage, the exteriors are absolutely amazing. As you travel throughout the world itself feels alive. For example, if you are just cruising through the village, you can see the guards patrolling, you can sometimes meet people talking to each other, and taking a rest on a bench or going to their shops. There is livestock everywhere, and this time we are also featuring a huge city, the city of Gothenburg. People can react even to you. If you are wounded, they will tell you to go treat your wounds. If you are drunk, they will react to that. Or guards can simply greet you, and you usually can choose to respond to people in a positive or negative way, which will increase or decrease your reputation. Or you can choose to ignore it and basically keep your reputation the same. Usually, whenever there are multiple NPCs together, they will talk to each other about various topics, and if you spend like 100 hours in the game, then sometimes the conversation is repetitive, but there is a lot of topics they can choose. Sometimes they even go as far as starting a brawl. So you can see and witness a fist fight between 2 guys as they fight over a woman or over a lost bet of dice and various things like this, for example. Even an encounter with bandits can be resolved without combat. Usually, a resolution without combat also means that you will have to give them everything you carry, right? And you will just get away with your life. But you can convince them otherwise if you can talk your way out of it, or you can initiate a fight. That's up to you. The world feels like it's constantly evolving thanks to the dynamic interaction between those NPCs. So, for example, while you may come across a group of bandits, you could just as easily watch a mercenary step in to protect a merchant from a confrontation. The choice is yours, whenever you intervene or let the situation unfold on its own. Sometimes such moments illustrate the game's commitment to dynamic storytelling, where your actions or inactions directly influence the world around you. As you can see right here, the mercenary just saw two bandits robbing a poor merchant. He is going to investigate. They will probably attack. You see? And he starts punching and slashing the bandits. I can get involved, or I don't have to. It depends. But the mercenary here, he figured these two murdered some merchants and he went after them. Because he is armed and armored, and these two bandits are basically just guys with some... Yeah, it was pretty quickly resolved. This is what I mean that the world feels alive. Again, because the game is set in history, we know that there are no dragons, no vampires, even though there is a vampire burial, for example, but those are mostly Easter eggs. I found Easter eggs like that mermaid, for example, but other than that, the game is set in medieval Bohemia, a place where we see various historical landmarks and figures. We encounter King Sigismund, Jan Žižka, and other historical figures with varying degrees of historical background. The story of the game is more of a historical novel, meaning it is heavily inspired by history, even though the story itself is unique. We also see several historical locations that have been lost to time, but we know they existed, such as Castle Trotsky. Today it's in ruins, but in the game we see a restoration of what it used to be. Speaking of city of Gothenburg, which is really a marvel to behold. If you want to play as a thief, there are huge opportunities. The city is underlined by an elaborate set of tunnels that lead under the whole city, and there are many entrances to these tunnels, even from various shops. Now, judge me if you want, but I had very easy access to a lot of very cheap, let's say, armor and weapons. And if I say cheap, I mean, yeah, I stole a lot. Anyway. The game really excels in rewarding exploration. You can find various buried treasures, be it by the maps that you bought or found, or maybe NPCs told you, you overheard somebody talking about it. Then you find a dig site, you dig it up, and boom, you have some rewards, maybe some pricey chalice, maybe some nice weapon. Sometimes you can find even various Easter eggs. The exploration really feels fantastic. The forests are beautiful, the plains, the city, everything is a sight to behold. Where the game really shines is its narrative. It's whether you are following the main story of Henry and Hans Capen and their quest to deliver the message from the first game, or if you are just wandering around doing side quests for various reasons, it is always interesting. You may find yourself helping gypsies in their struggles against local villagers, or maybe you are drinking with humans that are not as unfriendly as you first thought they're going to be. You get so drunk you meet a talking dog, for example, or maybe you stumble upon a wedding where a clumsy maiden named Dobravka is stepping on your toes with such strength that it actually takes your health in the process. It is all there, and there is everything from comical situation to some serious steamy romances and cutscenes, so viewer discretion advised. There is also plenty of fistfights, and sometimes you might even find yourself framed or gaslit out of various situations. Sometimes people are gaslighting you, sometimes your Henry is a smartass who is gaslighting other people. You can talk yourself out of situation, or you can talk yourself in situations that you maybe find displeasant for you. If you commit a crime, you might end up in stocks or being caned or even branded, or you can talk your way out. if you have tongue sharp enough. You know, there is also an option to just take your weapons and kill every guard that is going after you, but that's on your own cautious. There is tons of side quests, and often you find those side quests by simply exploring the land. Sometimes the side quests are locked behind fast travel, and that is the only way you can find them. Or sometimes you can just visit the local tavern and ask innkeeper if there is any work available, and they'll tell you about various tasks, like there is a woman living alone who may need help, or some guys building a wall that may have work for you. You can fully immerse yourself in this medieval world, which is exactly what makes the game so great. Now, throughout my time with the game, I did encounter a couple of issues. Please keep in mind that as this review is coming out, the game has been already delivered a huge patch, which fixed some issues and added some quality of life additions. For example, the barber, which has been a thing in the first game and in this game as well. And they also added support for various mods. However, the things that I encounter were usually of the minor nature. So, for my technical issues that I've encountered myself, mainly it was inconsistencies in NPC dialogues. What I mean, for example, an NPC might be completely smashed, but still say, I'm not drinking today because tomorrow we have important mission. And he's telling you that in a cutscene, like in a dialogue cutscene, while you obviously see he is completely drunk, because drunk has this funny animation in the game, you will recognize it right away. So that just doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't add up. Other times, the game might leave you with contradictory dialogue options. For instance, you might resolve a situation, but because you didn't exhaust all dialogue options previously, the game will still offer you irrelevant responses and irrelevant topics to talk about with these NPCs. This can be inconsistent, and if you are playing games long enough, maybe you can overlook this, but if Kingdom Come Deliverance is like your introduction to gaming, you might be confused by this. Even the worst part of this is if this is tied to reputation gain or loss. Sometimes you may lose reputation with NPCs because you ask questions that shouldn't be there in the first place because it's already tied to a situation that has been resolved, therefore it is irrelevant now. But the game still acts like you asked that question and therefore you lost or gained some reputation completely nonsensically. Even if such option is no longer relevant to the story, be it for the main quest or the side quest, it doesn't matter.
Přišla bída mora hlad, to neustojí žádnej chlap.
You can't say you weren't warned. You can't just loiter around on other people's property. You'll pay up and show me whether you stole anything, otherwise we'll...
Restrain yourself. Let me inform you in good faith. If you think you can just give me a whipping, then you'll be defying the law of the land. And you'll suffer the consequences.
Excuse me?
Only the heathens do that. We Christians apply the law justly. You are a good Christian, are you not?
Well, of course I am. But what am I supposed to do with you then?
First and foremost, you must inform the court scribe in Prague what misdemeanor has been committed, upon which he shall make a record and then inform you what you should do according to the law.
You're having me on, right? I'm not going to Prague on account of you.
Well, according to the law of the land, you should. But I understand that's no easy matter. Look here. Nothing terrible has happened, right? So let's agree to forget the whole thing, and you won't have to go to Prague.
All right then. But promise you won't get up to any more mischief.
Naturally. You have my word.
The game excels not only in graphics and atmosphere, but also in sound design. You can hear horses, you can hear your armor clunking, and thunderstorms are absolutely gorgeous. The rain feels real. I had almost chills whenever it was raining. You know, the sound of thunder and the sight of lightning in the sky, it really added the immersion for me. If you wear plate armor in the rain, by the way, you can even hear the little droplets of rain on your armor, and it sounds just like water hitting a metal. Just, they didn't have to add this, but they did. So the attention of detail from these developers is great. Another immersion points like this is you can throw carrot on the ground and your horse eat it, which is something I didn't even know. My friend found out about this. Or you can throw a bacon on the ground and the dog eat it, be it your dog or someone else's. Which, by the way, a minor spoiler alert, but if you want to, let's say, rob a house for whatever reason and that house has dogs, you can feed these dogs bacon and they will leave you for like 30 seconds alone because they are busy eating, so they won't be barking and waking up the whole neighborhood. But I will deny anything if you say I taught you this trick. Anyway, talking about sound design, we should also mention voice acting. Voice acting is stellar, it is spot on, with many well-known Czech actors lending their faces and voices to the characters. Of course, the actors who portrayed Henry and Hans are well-known celebrities for gamers. There also were others. For example, Otto von Berghoff is played by Marek Vašut, who is a very successful Czech motion picture star, and he is also known to gamers ever since the first Mafia game, where he dubbed Thomas Angelo, and he returns to work with Daniel Vávra, who is the creative director and mind behind the KCD1 and 2. Their cooperation is spot on. There is also Petr Nárožný, who plays Peter of Písek, Pavel Zedníček, who plays Lord of Semín, and many, many more. Now, if you made it this far, you already know that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a game worth experiencing, at least in my humble opinion. I'd rate it 9.5 out of 10 and highly recommend it. That half point I deduct only due to minor issues and combat that did not sit very well with me, but that is highly subjective. I hope you learned something new about the game. If you're interested in my journey throughout the game, you can find almost every second of my 120 hours of playthrough on my YouTube channel. Whether you're looking for tips, full playthroughs, or just the highlights, there is something there for everyone. But if you haven't played the game yet, I recommend going in blind. Let the world surprise you. The game is fantastic. If you are a fan of role-playing games, history, or ideally both, I cannot recommend the game enough. Try it for yourself, and feel free to leave a comment. Did you like the game? Did you dislike it? Did you like this review? Do you agree or disagree with my takes on the game? Is there something I missed? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I see you in Bohemia, or wherever your horse may take you. Prdele už. Tak ještě jednou.